Pip pip cheerio, peasants. Name's Rich Moneybags, and I'm here to tell you about the captains of industry from the Gilded Age, or what some of you common folk might refer to as robber barons, whatever that's supposed to mean. Now, some of you may be asking, what is a robber baron? Well, it is a term used back in the 19th century by people to refer to the richest among them, who owned many very factories and industries and owned everything involved in whatever they wanted. Whether that be Vanderbilt and his railroads or Carnegie and his steel, they all owned every single piece of it. Because they love money, as do I. For I am Rich Moneybags. These robber barons were known for doing many things in their time. They've done a lot of good to help the Gilded Age progress, because many of them were pushing very hard in the industrial department, and they made many goods and many advancements, and they pushed them forward into the American populace and made a lot of things cheaper so that people could have more things without selling an arm and a leg in the process. But they also had no laws on how to do any of that, because this was the first time it ever happened. So the people in their factories were treated very terribly. Very low wages. There were children in the factories breaking their hands. If your kid broke his hand, sucks to suck, I guess. And it was a very different time. Before labor unions and everything, it was a very different time. And that's what I hear from my poor people friends. I wouldn't know, because I've never worked a day in my life. They were also performing something known as a monopoly, where, much like the Monopoly Man in the hit game Monopoly, they would own everything. The goal was to own all of the, if it was able to be owned, they owned it. And not only did they own the store where they sold the steel, but they also owned the factory where they made the steel, and they also owned the mine where they got the steel. And if they could, they would have owned the whole world where the steel was found. But unfortunately, that was a little bit out of the price range. There was also a robber baron by the name of James Fisk, who was very rich by fooling people, because all the people he worked with were fools at one point or another, and he was the foolerator. J.P. Morgan also took advantage of a time when the money was about to become very bad, and took control of a bunch of banks and was the bank man who owned all the banks. Most of the banks. All of that is great. It's great. Love money. Well, you don't just have to take my word for it. Take the word of some minimum wage worker I just spoke to.
Aiden,
Yeah.
so I have a question. What do you know about rich people?
Rich people?
Yeah.
Not a lot. That's kind of out of my knowledge. I don't like it very much though. I find it kind of snobby and all.
Okay. Do you know who Rockefeller is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, what do you think about that guy?
He's alright. I like the Rockefeller Street song.
Okay, what do you think about Cornelius Vanderbilt?
He sounds a lot like a hockey player name.
Well, thank you for your time. Do you have any
Yeah.
concluding comments?
I think Robin Hood had the right idea, because rich people don't pay crap in taxes.
And I think we've all learned a lot about the captains of industry, or robber barons, as you may refer to them as, and how not only did they help the Gilded Age become what it is, but they also helped make lives a lot worse in the Gilded Age, and I can kind of see where the name comes from. Overall, I think we've all learned a lot today about how money works and about how dollars happen. And with that, I would like to ask you to PayPal me $5 for my time teaching you about robber barons. Thank you, and goodbye, poor people.